much for everyone that has tuned in. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am Alexis John, the Community Strategic Planner for Neighborhood Improvement Services, Community Engagement Team. And we are here today with the team from Durham Onecall, and we are just providing information so that you can log on to the Durham Onecall, submit request. It's an awesome tool. I use it frequently, and I know a lot of other residents that use it as well. So we just want to go ahead and share this information with you. Just so you know, every single resident has the ability to make change in their community. And this is just one tool that you can use in order to do that. So I will turn it over to the team and they will introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Steve Williams. I'm the Customer Service Administrator for Durham Onecall.
Hi, I'm Tommy Johnson. I am the Supervisor for Durham Onecall.
And I am Melissa Page. I am the Administrative Coordinator for Durham Onecall.
And we want to thank you all for joining us today. I am the Customer Service Administrator for Durham Onecall. Durham Onecall is a department that reports into the City Manager's Office for the City of Durham. We have a team of about 14 people, 10 people who take phone calls. We have someone who manages the front lobby desk there in City Hall. We do some 16,000 transactions a month, about 12,000 phone calls, and we will talk about this later. And we do some 6,000 electronic transactions a month. The methods of communication for Durham Onecall are the phones, through social media, through email, through voicemail, and of course through our electronic requests. That being said, I'm now going to turn it over to Tommy Johnson, who's going to talk a little bit more about Durham Onecall.
All right, thank you, Steve. So Durham Onecall was founded in 2004. It was an idea of the city manager at the time. And we are the central point of contact for residents, businesses, visitors, and stakeholders of the city of Durham. And we are a division of the city manager's office. One of the primary things that we do is we provide information about city services such as waste collection, recycling, potholes, street repairs, litter, unsightly properties, water and storm water services, maintenance of city property, city events, and more, just depending on what type of things come up at any given time. So as Steve mentioned, there's a couple of different ways you can submit requests for us, and we'll show you more of those a little later. But primarily, we do take a lot of phone calls, as Steve said, and our phone number is 919-560-1200 if you don't have that written down already. But you can also get to our website, our page on the website at durhamnc.gov. And Melissa's going to show you where you click to get to Durham Onecall in a few minutes. As Steve mentioned, we get electronic requests that way. There's also an app that you can download for your phone. It's the Durham Onecall app. And we also have the option, if none of those work, you can call the number when we're not open, and you can leave a voicemail if you choose to do that. So we try to be as accessible as possible.
And Melissa, if you have the ability to go ahead and share your screen, if you can just pull up the website and show folks what it looks like and how they can submit requests.
Absolutely. So let's see here. So everyone should be able to see my screen at this point. Can you guys see it? Tommy?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is the city's homepage, and the webpage is durhamnc.gov. When you access our webpage, I do recommend trying to access it via Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, as sometimes it tends to be finicky when accessing it via Internet Explorer. So you may not be able to have full access if you try to, and you may get an error or a reading where the full page will not populate. So on the city's homepage, on the far right-hand side at the top, you will see a yellow button that reads Durham Onecall Service Request. You can click this button. Once you click it, it's going to reroute you to the request forms for Durham Onecall. So there are actually several different forms that can be submitted for Durham Onecall via online. Request forms such as Animal services, requests for bus stops. We do receive quite a few requests notifying the city that a bus stop trash can may need to be empty, or they may in fact just be requesting that a trash can be placed there. Car seats installation, some residents may call and inquire about that. Other requests that are most frequently used for Durham Onecall specifically fall under that of waste management and water management. So I will demonstrate the gist of submitting a request online if you had to submit a request online. The one we will demonstrate today, this evening, is going to be for bulky item pickup. And so the city solid waste particularly recently implemented, when things began with COVID-19, that they opted to do bulky item pickup by request only moving forward at this time, meaning that Durham Onecall would need to be notified some way, either by phone, submitting a request online, or even by submitting the request via the app, the Durham Onecall app. So if you click on waste management, which I have already done, as you can see, it's going to provide you with several different links. And there are many different options that when one may request something for, such as new trash service if they've just moved in, if they've had a damaged cart and that may need to be repaired and or replaced. As you can see, there are several different options. We are going to choose the option for bulky services, and there are a few different types of bulky services, if you will. There's bulky item pickup, and what falls underneath that category specifically is going to be things that don't necessarily fit inside of your garbage cart or your trash can. That being large furniture pieces, bookshelves, dressers, mattresses, are all things that would be categorized as a bulky item, whereas curbside brush collection, that falls under the same service, is more so of bulky brush yard debris, which for our yard waste customers would basically be any large sticks or stems or anything of that nature that may not fit inside of their brown yard waste cart as is. And then of course we have television collection. The reason why this is specifically by itself is because it's an entirely different truck that collects television, as it's an electronic waste. So once you get to this point of the request form, you're going to click the request that you wish to complete. And I'll go ahead and just fill it out, just to give you guys an idea as to if you were a first-time resident that was just submitting a request online for the very first time, the steps in which you would need to take to be able to do so. So I'm going to use the address of 101 City Hall Plaza, and I'm going to key in my name and a contact number, and we'll just say that it's a couch. And then you'll scroll down. Here it notates that you may place the request up to 3 items free of charge. Anything more than 3 items does request that you contact Durham Onecall, as there may be a fee associated with anything more than 3 items. And that basically just goes over the specifications as to what that means if you do have something that you would like collected, but it's more than 3 items, and discuss the fees that may potentially apply to that request. You also have the option of adding a photo. A lot of residents opt to do this just to give you an idea of what it is that they are collecting. Once you fill out all the given fields, you will then hit submit. Here is where it's going to prompt you to create an account. And basically what this is allowing you to do is just create a profile so that you can submit requests in the future, but also so that you can follow the request that you are currently submitting, because you will get updates via your email about the request that has been submitted. So each phase of the request, the resident will be updated, notifying them that the request has been received, that it has been submitted to the appropriate department, and when the request has been completed and closed. So you can create a username. and put in an email. Once you log in, you'll get this notification stating that it was a success, and it will give you this verification number right here. This verification number is also sent to the email that was provided when you submitted the original request. So you'll also receive an email with this information as well. And that number right here is very pertinent, so we can look up the request if you need to call back to follow up on the request at any given time. And so that's the gist of submitting the request online, if you will. And then once the request is submitted, it is then sent to our department where one of our representatives will process the request. And they will submit an additional request, which goes to the appropriate departments for the request to be handled. And whether that being solid waste management or CVS, or stormwater, just depending on, the type of request will determine what department it is then forwarded and submitted to.
You can submit those requests any time of the day, the weekend. And Durham Onecall's goal is that we work 100% of our requests within 24 hours of receipt. Typically, we work them same day as they come in. So as soon as that request hits our queue, we have someone that works that request and gets it moving to the right department so that it can be fulfilled.
Correct.
I think last year there was the Christmas tree request. Is that how folks will submit requests this year as well?
So I believe that solid waste management is still currently configuring what the process for Christmas tree collection will be for 2021. So there will be more to come on that.
What we know right now is that it will probably be done through request. It won't be just pick up the trees. Some municipalities pick up the trees if you set them out on the curb. That is not the case. What we were told, that we just talked to them today, and what they said was more than likely that's going to be through a request, through that very bulky item request that Melissa just demonstrated, and they'll be doing it that way. And alternatively, there will potentially be some points throughout Durham. 6 points throughout Durham that you can drop the trees off at our parks. But again, Melissa's right. They're still working that through, but that was tentatively what we were looking at for this year.
Awesome. Thank you. And we have a few people tuning in today. I wanted to leave a few minutes just in case you have any questions about how to submit the request or any questions for the team. Please take a few minutes and type it in the chat or just come off mute and ask your question. And I actually have another question while we wait for that. What do people typically submit requests for? Like, is there a top 3 of requests that you guys receive?
Sure. Go ahead, Melissa. No,
I'm sorry. So the number 1 request is actually bulky item pickup, which is why I opted to demonstrate that this evening, just because it is the most frequent request used, and because of the new policy that has changed over the last year and a half with solid waste management, as to have bulky items picked up, a request does have to be submitted.
Yep, some of the other top items that we get a lot of requests for are for new water service, for new trash service, and for any type of like cart maintenance. Say the cart is cracked or the wheels came off, things like that. We get a lot of requests for those through solid waste. And we get a lot of requests to disconnect water service when people are moving, different things. So those are some of our biggest hitters.
And citywide is probably going to be potholes, repairing the roads citywide, just in general.
Can you talk, you said water management or connecting water. Can you talk a little bit about that? So if folks are moving in, is that how they start their water, or what do you all do for getting the water started?
Melissa, do you want to take that? I can take it if you want me to. We all can answer.
Yeah, not a problem. So yes, actually, if you go back to the home page, it is actually a quick link for new water service. So I'm going to go back to the home page. And if you scroll down, give me just a second while it loads. So if you scroll down, you can see over here to the left, start new water service. And once you click on this link, it gives direct specifications as to how you need to submit the request for a new water service. As it is a process, you do have to complete the request form. In addition, it does ask you, depending on whether or not you are purchasing or leasing, what information and or documents are needed to be uploaded. Once the request is submitted, it does give you a turnaround period of time, which is typically 3 to 5 business days for customer billing services to follow back up with the resident for starting new water service. And so this is the Start Water Service startup page, if you will. And like I said, they have broken it down into steps to how to submit that request online in detail. And it states whether or not you're a property owner, what is needed, and then it states if you are leasing and or renting, what documents are needed as well. Then it tells you what to do when you submit the request. Again, here it reiterates to write down the confirmation number, as that is the best means of tracking a request once it has been submitted to not only our department, but the specific department that's in question at the time. And then it continues to go into specific detail, you know, what to expect after the request has been submitted, and things to do once your service has been turned on. And then if you have any further questions and or concerns, it states that you can obviously follow up with us at Durham Onecall, and we can provide any further assistance that may or may not be needed at that time.
Awesome, thank you. I also see on the list sidewalk repairs. Do folks call or submit requests for that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So anytime that the sidewalks may be cracking just due to ground shiftment movement, or there may have been construction crews in the area doing work, and just a variety of things as to why the sidewalk may or may not be damaged and or breaking, we can submit a request for that and have them go out there to observe as to what may or may not need to be needed. It may be a simple fix. They may need to go out and, you know, redo an entire piece of the pavement and or sidewalk. But yes, we do have residents that call and inform us of those issues as well, especially if the sidewalk starts to become uneven, as it may pose as a, if someone's riding their bike, and or someone may have a wheelchair, that it could cause, you know, an issue. So we can submit requests for those types of concerns as well.
And also trees or hanging trees on city property. Is that something folks can contact you for as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So any trees, low hanging limbs or anything of that nature, we can submit a request. I do believe, and Steve and Tommy, correct me if I'm incorrect on this. However, if they are calling inquiring about tree limbs that are impeding power lines, we do refer them to the power company, as the power company has a technician that will come out, and they are responsible for maintaining the grooming of tree limbs and things of that sort that may be overgrowing on power lines.
Even shaking his head. So yeah, that's right. All right. And I'll leave a couple more minutes for any questions. But I think you guys touched on a lot, and that was very helpful. From my understanding, potholes, they can submit requests, sidewalks, they can submit requests, all the way up to any questions that they might have within the city. They can give a call to Durham Onecall, which is 919-560-1200. And I remember one of you all told me, if you forget it, just look at your trash bin, and that will be a good reminder. So thank you so much. I will probably leave about 1 or 2 minutes and I will check the Facebook Live to make sure we don't have any questions, and then we can close up. If you have any other information you want to share about Durham Onecall, just go ahead and let them know.
Just one thing I thought of that we didn't mention, but we are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 is our normal hours that we are staffed on the phones. So if it's outside of that, then these other methods we showed you, such as online or the app, those are great tools to use.
Okay, so I can submit on the app and at any time of day, is that right?
Correct.
Anything else? All right, well, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, this is Building Stronger Neighborhoods, just bringing you resources for you to use in order to improve your neighborhood. And thank you so much. Have a good evening.